Good day. My name's Graham. I'm a dickheaded Yorkshireman living down under in Australia watching the world go mad. Now, we have to ask ourselves, what is wrong with the left? Right? What is wrong with the EU itself, the body of people who become the supreme beings of all the world in the EU? They no longer can take no for an answer, and they want to dictate to the rest of Europe how they should be as individuals. You can't be Greek anymore, for instance. You've got to be all like Germans and like that, whatever that is. Well, you know, it doesn't try to work really. Who wants to be a German if you're not one? It's that simple. But when it comes to the attacks on Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg and anyone else who can speak English, articulate themselves objectively and with some weight and impartially, that is exactly what the EU doesn't like, and it's exactly what the left doesn't like. Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg speak English extremely well in the proper practical use and positive use of the English language and the pragmatic use of the language. That is, they try to grasp hold of the facts and then try to explain them in as practical and objective sense as possible. Now, in other words, they have a scientific rationale behind what they're trying to explain. And the thing is, that's what the left has no scientific rationale. It can't explain anything at all, not any of its policies. Can they explain in any rational and practical manner what the future, and therefore they can't say what the future will hold in any particular policy. They've got a desire to create a future, what's in their mind. The EU is all about having a plan, sorry about the flies, the EU is all about having a plan. It desires to create a future, but one suggests this is an extreme naivety on the people who the centralisers on their part, thinking they could get Greeks and Italians to become Germans. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it makes like Chinese might become Americans. Well, they do, but Chinese might become English or whatever, or Irish might become Scottish. It makes no sense at all to expect a culture, a race of people to become another race. This is absolute racism by these people in charge to expect other people to all become like them because they see all other people as inferior to them. Obviously, if you're not like these centralisers of Europe, you must be an inferior person. They'll have to make rules up for you so that eventually you'll come into line over a number of years, because they'll degrade your will for self-determination. That's what it's all about, degrading the will of people for self-determination for a desired result, to control the population through various means, but controlling the freedom of speech. Because freedom of speech means, surely, when someone who can speak as delightfully as Jacob Rees-Mogg, what a wonderful speaker, and then he's called stupid by people. Well, when you call someone stupid before they've spoken, you've left yourself open to being looked like an idiot straight away. Especially when you already know these people can really handle themselves in a proper debate. Now, what the left is a generational thing, unfortunately. The left has a conglomeration of young people who parents have not, poor parenting has made them materialistically inclined, and they hardly have been told no to. You can't have that, you should go to bed now, you can't have this, no, you got to do this. There are rules and regulations about life that you want is about self-regulating yourself and having some self-discipline and finding out the facts and doubting for yourself, rather than relying on politicians or the BBC or anyone, or David Attenborough or anyone else. Don't rely on any facts for yourself, you have to find out for yourself. Now, the left have been sort of, if you like, the younger ones have been denied by the education system and by the universities the basic requirements of learning and education is giving them the ability to question everything and question everyone, and therefore they become their own authority on any subject. just calling people stupid, which is a verbal attack on someone, then leads to a physical attack, because not everyone likes to be called stupid. I mean, you get in someone's face and call them stupid, if they're polite, they'll walk away, but if they're not so polite, they end up with a physical confrontation. So the left are all about being violent, provoking violence from people. Fortunately, the people who they're attacking may not be on the right at all. They're just individuals. They can be called on the right, but the right means no longer has no meaning anymore, because of people, the elite of Europe in charges, are the far right. They're the far right of Europe, traditional far right, the elite of Europe. They are the elite. They're not into equality. They're into controlling the masses, which means they think they're superior to everyone. They think they're superior to Greeks. And everyone else down there who might be a bit, swarthier looking than those people, the Aryan race and all that sort of stuff, obviously still exists in their mind. Myself, I like all the different races in Europe. I like the fact when you go to Italy, or Italy and Spain, there are all these different people. That's what makes tourism interesting. If it's all Germans everywhere in the world, you start to think, well, why go anywhere? It's like travelling around Australia from one place to another, yet to the other place is exactly the same as where you set off from, in culture and what they talk about. That's what it's a bit like. But that's the reason that they left, and the students and all those people who haven't got the education to articulate themselves in an objective, practical and pragmatic reasoning, they can't do that. So they can't call people who can, out of a fear that whatever these people say, Farage or Rees Mogg may say, may undermine a platform that is based on just nothing but what you feel. Not what you think, it's what you feel. You can make all your statements about what you feel all you like, but they're not founded on reality of the practical actuality that gives reason to life, and that founds the survival of our democracy. And the way our peace and harmony is not based in a bunch of almost cultish catcalling and protesting about people speaking English, because that's what they don't speak. English is you can use it any way you like, but calling people stupid is stringing English words together. But any other way, it's gibberish. It has no meaning if the other person is not stupid. Obviously, highly educated, articulate people are not stupid. So when you're saying you're stupid, well, you're saying nothing. You're using English words, but not in any way that makes any sense, or is in any way shows that you've got any intelligence or ability in that language, even if you're English. Therefore, one suggests there's a massive failure in England at the moment, as there is in Australia and everywhere, of teaching people, fail to teach people English, how to use it properly in a practical sense. So therefore, no one can explain themselves, and because they can't explain themselves, they just follow what they think. They want to say something, what gives them a pat on the back by all the cultists and collective they sort of have joined in with this attack on English language. It's an attack on the English language itself. The English language, if we know the history of it, and this is an important part for me, the English language, above all other languages, scientific language and rational language, you can do all your flowery speeches, and you can make all your rhetoric, what says nothing, like politicians do, all the spin and stuff like that they do. But when you find out the spin actually means nothing, or there's a totally alternative meaning to what it does say, if you analyse it down, you find, saying that these people should have resilience when actually they've got no resilience whatsoever, and that's sort of what politicians use in Australia. We're going to give kids resilience and help them solve problems. No, they're not. They're taking away any means of the kids to feeling being resilient into the future, and they might make them a resistance movement against those that can argue against this New World Order, or New World Chaos as I call it, because that's what it is, New World Chaos. But that's what English language, if you know the history of Britain, and you know the history of science and industry and all that, you can't have an industrial organisation, you can't organise real economic platforms or real forward progress for society that benefits everyone through gibberish like rhetoric, like you're stupid and we want this and we want that, without considering what it is you're wanting, what your demands mean. What it removes something from someone else, but you want it anyway. That's pure selfishness. Now, as I said, the English language is a rational, scientific means of analysing anything. Of course, all the language can do this, because everyone's got their technology and engineering. And this is about what it gets down to. There's a technical aspect, an engineering aspect to all parts of life. We can analyse it down. You can analyse what this political correctness is, which is program codex, and that's social engineering, to recede or create a recessive genetic program within society to remove its self-will for replication. And that's what it is. They're trying to destroy the kids, these young people. They're trying to destroy their will to self-replicate by putting women off men and men off women and whatever they're doing, and putting what should be intelligent young people off listening to what are highly intelligent people who really actually care for the future of them, even though they don't realise it. Stupid old white men might sound stupid when they talk, but it doesn't mean they're evil or against the young developing a decent lifestyle. Two totally different ideas. The thing is that they are basically within the EU, the old white men that ought to be examined as being the most stupid ones, who never explain themselves honestly, so therefore they're hiding something all the time when they're planning to trap people by rules and regulations. They're massively planning ahead how you trap people into this rules and regulations to degrade freedom, self-will and democracy itself. They are the stupid old men. No matter how cunning they are, no matter how clever they are at misleading people, they're absolutely hopeless at practical, positive, pragmatic dialogue and narrative that takes Europe forward in a what you call a positively progressive human manner. They're doing the opposite, degrading the idea of humanity at all by using the idea of human rights. Well, basic human right is what Nigel Farage and Jacob Rees-Mogg and other people like myself practice, is that we question everything. We question everything because now we know intrinsically, as English people, regardless of all the mistakes England's done in the past, we all learn by mistakes, everyone does, but the most important thing is to question everything. That's how things have evolved and advanced, so that people have a comfortable, decent lifestyle now. Stop this questioning by people who can. And what do you do? Well, you're working for the side that is working against you. Stop people questioning in a practical and pragmatic sense, and you're working against your own betterment of yourself and your society, regardless you may not understand it. Because young people are being used by, they say they're elite. They're not elite, they're parasites. A parasite is a flea or a worm or a leech. These aren't elite. There's nothing elite about these people at all. If they were elite thinkers, they wouldn't have the problems they have. They're not elite, they're parasites. These are two different things. They're just people. They're not people who invent the new world. The people are destroying the world to try and create something that total control over humanity. There's no invention in this whatsoever, no creativity. So they're not actually the elite thinkers, are they? Obviously, if they were, their ideas wouldn't be, their ideology wouldn't be falling around their ankles right now, because they're building statues on mud. There's nothing, there's just clay. They're building a house on clay or a house of cards. It's collapsing, because you cannot found anything on engineer anything unless it's founded on good, practical, rational principles that then benefit everyone. Because eventually, if you lie like the EU have done, you're going to be found out. If you made the rhetorical mistakes of thinking Greeks are going to be like Germans, well, you've made a fool of yourself. And it's time they ought to admit that. It's time they ought to rethink the whole thing. Go back to the drawing boards, gentlemen, if you've got half a brain. Go, if you want your Europe, go back to stop being nasty and horrible to people. Go back to become humans. Join the human race and ask the people what is this, ask amongst the people how they solve it. They're solvable. By being stubborn and refusing to admit mistakes. That's just dumb. Only a fool does not admit their mistakes. Continues down a path of recessive negative programming because of an idea that's failing, because people simply don't want it. What's next? Force?